Hello, everyone. I want to say to everyone happy Ramadan as I am a Muslim. Before I start the video, I just want to congratulate everyone who is doing Ramadan. It is a great experience for the spirit, your body, and also your determination of self-discipline. But now this is an update of on my ability and their interactions around the world with myself, that everyone is able to listen to my thought and also see through my mind. And I was working, and a flash came to me of a thought, and this type of flash happens with a lot of psychic people, and it's very good to acknowledge it and not just ignore it. So what happened was that it came to the thought of about the epidemic, about what is going on right now in the world, because there's an epidemic going on that's called coronavirus. And I thought it would be nice for me to give my opinion on the matter because of something that happened at work with that flash. What happened was that I was working, and a thought came towards me about what about if it was a global warming and a virus or a bacteria was released into the hemisphere, or what about, because you do not know what the government is telling you and you do not know the facts of the situation. Remember that in history there are more than 100 of epidemics recorded, like the flu epidemic in 1889 to 1890, killing 1 million people. The Spanish flu in 1918 to 1920, 50 million people were affected and 1/5 died. The Asian flu in 1957, 1958, the death total was more than 1.1 million worldwide, and with 116,000 deaths in the United States. And how can we forget about the AIDS epidemic that since 1981 to the present day is still affecting and killing people right now? And with this information, I hope that I give you calmness of a thought of the end of times or anything of that type of matter. As I have explained and I have said before, that we're going to a new era, and these are some of the signs that you can see that we are going to a new era. As the government changing, people are starting to question the government and around the world, not just in the United States, but we can see the uprising of the people. And the crazy part and the sad part, and I hope that this message gets through to you, because if you look at history and the uprising of people, that it always has been something violent. And this video that I do and my book that I am working and everything of my research is to enlighten you, to bring you consciousness that we are 2020, the year, and that AD, and that we should be able to have a better consciousness of being able to dialogue, a better way to finding a solution, not through violence, but maybe through dialogue. There has to be a certain way where we can accomplish something greater for the good of humankind. And this is what my ability is it works. This is what's the beauty of my ability, because everyone's listening, everyone's here. And if we all respect each other, if we all put our little bit of sand, I guarantee, because even in the Bible, it says that if the world was all one, because in Babylon, in the era of Babel, the Tower of Babel, the people were one. We all thought one. And this gives authentic, or this gives evidence of what the Bible says, because everyone is listening to my thought, and everyone is seeing through my eyes. And not only in Genesis, but also in Peter, when Jesus had died in the New Testament, and the Holy Spirit came into Peter, and Peter was speaking to everyone, and people from different languages who didn't speak his languages understood what he was saying. But as usual, people mocked him and called him insane or drunk. But these are records, and this is why my research that I'm doing, because I do not want this to be unacknowledged. I want you to understand that there is a telepathy, that it does exist in the science world. They do not want to accept psychic, and it would be a downgrade on your intelligence if you decide to act as I do not exist, if you decide to look at this video and act like it doesn't exist, because you know it does. But I wish the best for you. Everyone has to make their own decisions, and this is something I explaining to you, because as we see the changes, we're seeing a new system of working at home, because we need G5, we need that structure, so that we have the faster capacity of being able to handle a broader population in a network system, to give you fast, high-speed internet. And this is something that is going on, and a lot of people have conspiracy theories, but let's not point the finger, but let's look at a solution. So this is something that we have to work, and we have to acknowledge the lack of education, which has been going on for years, and how the economy works, and how these people who have the money, the power, do not use it for the benefit of the people, but the benefit of themselves. And ask ourselves, how can we take advantage of these resources? How we can be better? And this is what I am trying to give you through my book, and bring everything, all the knowledge and all the guidance towards that better enhancement of human development, and not only yourself, but I hope that you pass this seed to your child. So you're seeing right now that people are starting, or the businesses are going to start working at home, and instead of having a building where everyone has to work in. And I think that is something good, because everyone's going to love it, because everyone wants to work at home. But what is the reason, and what is the goal, is the real question, and what is the side effect of this that is going on? And well, we have to understand what is causing the lockdown in the economic system, because the lockdown that is going on right now, it is taking the rights in the United States. It is violating the rights of the Constitution, but people do not understand that, and some people do understand it, and some people are against it, and some people are not against it, because some people are not against it because you can get sick, and the coronavirus is a very easy to get infected with. And so these people are not against it because they do not want to jeopardize their health or any one of their loved ones. But now there's the other half of the people where they are against it because it is against their right to choose to go out because of the economy. The economy is going down. So many people are not having income into their household, and so many jobs are being lost, and some Americans, they prefer to sacrifice their life for the better of other people. So, and this is something beautiful in a way, beautiful but dangerous, because it's beautiful because they need economic. There's people who need food. There's Most Americans live on a day-to-day check, and not only Americans, but the world itself is going to an economic crisis. And how can we get out of this, and how can we survive? And this is something that's so important, so essential. And so many, like I said, so many countries are going into an uprising, and we have to acknowledge this. We have to understand this and why this is happening. And it's important, the importance of knowledge, the importance of education. As I'll give you an example why it is important, the education. Right now, the United States is giving a stimulus to a lot of people, and a lot of people are not getting it, and most people are getting it. And the people who have schizophrenia, who have mental illnesses, because of overworking, the population of the 1980s through 1990, where they worked really hard day and night, which that brought schizophrenia to a lot of people, because we need dopamine. What dopamine is, that joy, that happiness, that sensation of life, of giving it a meaning, and not just working day after day after day and night and day. There's people amazing that they have 3 jobs, and it's really incredible. But what I want to give you an example is of the wrong use of the money. For example, White Flint, which is a city in the United States that does not have water. And because the water is used through Nestle, which Nestle sells that water, that clean water, and the people are having dirty water, and there are people being infected, are dying, and these people are having chronic diseases. And while at the same time, the United States is sending, I believe, forgive me if I'm wrong on about the estimate of the money, but I believe it's like $40 billion to Israel, and this is all on news. You can check it out, and it's so amazing that people are not frustrated, because at the same time it's giving 40 billion to a country which doesn't belong to them, which to people that have nothing to do with the United States. And even they do not even respect the Americans. They do not respect the culture. They are against it. It's all propaganda, but that's another total different subject of how these Jewish people look at other people. But it is very interesting when you look into history, when you look at reality, because Palestine, I'll give you for another example, the Jewish people never had control of Israel, that country Israel. And when you look at history, they killed people, to have that land. And not only did they kill, but they were killed, and their empire was destroyed not only once, but I believe it was more than 3 times. And how can we ever forget about Albert Hitler, which he was a very tormented the Jewish community very hard. And so you have to ask yourself, where is the conscience? Because now that we're living in the era of 19, I believe it was the Benford Declaration was like in 1980. Well, it was in World War II when that happened. And who was these that gave the foundation, which was the Rothschild, which were Jews, which these people have power of the government because they endorse their banks. These people are linked to federal, to money makers. And it's so interesting, because you have to look at history. And it's like you see these videos of conspiracy, of Illuminati, Freemason, and you ask yourself, who is this Illuminati? Who is Freemason? Like, I'll give you another example. George Washington, he was a Freemason. And what is Freemason? It's Luciferians. And I mean, it's so amazing of how the Satanic Church, the Luciferians right now, are coming out into the public, as I explained to you in other videos. But so that's one way that you could see the error changing, that we're becoming to a new era. But let's go on beyond past that, and we can go beyond another sign where we're going to a new era, which is technology, AI, robots, cars, VR, virtual reality. So AI is artificial intelligence, and which there are robots like Sophia, and many other robots which are able to have interaction, conversations with people. And it's so amazing that we and the first AI that's going to make progress, and unfortunately, is the sex robot, because more sex robots are being implemented into the theology of males not wanting a female because of their nagging, because of their expensive. So they look at it, oh, I can have a robot female, which she'll do everything that a regular female will do without the hassle, without the complaint. She'll cook, she'll do everything, and her skin will be as a female. And since she is a robot, she'll give the sensation of the orgasm of a male to its true potential, where a female can never reach it, only when she has her virginity. And most females nowadays lose their virginity at a young age. But anyways, let me go back to the signs, as I was explaining, of going to a new era. The cars, there are more self-driven cars that are coming out, which now there's not going to be need of no taxi, taxi driver, I mean, because the car are going to drive themselves. And that is something good, as I explained, for the simple fact that you are not going to need someone to drive you. That's going to be less congestions. There's going to be less traffic. There's going to be less accidents. And so it's amazing of what the error that we're going. And then we can go to virtual reality, which virtual reality is totally something different, where you can go into a fantasy world where you can live as a rich person, as a gangster, as you can do whatever you wish in this virtual reality. And this is something so amazing. And because when we go into this new era, you're going to find a chip that people are putting in Sweden. A lot of people have already put the chip in, which they no longer need to cash or a credit card, because they have the chip right here, and they just put it there and they buy their stuff, and the money comes out, or however it is processed, and it goes through. and that's something good because you won't be robbed. But the founders of this promotion was the Catholic Church, which the Pope promoted it with all the rich people. Because I saw the article, and if you look at it and you look at the date, and he promoted this, and he gave this so that the companies, these rich people, could put microchips on to people so they won't have to use money. For example, in some businesses in the United States, some factories, they use it, and that way the employee doesn't need an ID card. It doesn't, if he wants to buy something from the vending machine, he'll buy it, or it'll just come out of his paycheck. And it's something of convenience because you don't have to need any money. And we're going to an era where it is more digitalized. The currency, as Binko, what's it called? Bitcoin. I'm sorry, it's called Bitcoin. And so we have to look at the grounds and what we need, as a deeper exploration towards the energy and the radiation of 5G, and we have to understand what is really going on, why, or who can we trust if the media or the true information is being brought by us, and we are taking time to do our research to better inform people. I'll give you an example. I saw a video of a police officer talking about how the doctors are against what the media is talking about the coronavirus. And so it's all about lies. It's all about who's telling the truth. And this is the power of YouTube. And they're trying to censor this because the most powerful thing that a human being or a government can have is the influence. Because once the violence, once the outrage, once the riots start becoming, they start losing power. And this is something that a government cannot lose. That's why you have communists. Communists use force to control their people. And but now the communists are changing for the simple fact that they want to advance, to have their people in a better economic situation. But it's not their people really. But what I mean by their people is the people who are in top, to have better things, to have better luxury. It's so amazing of what a person can do and what a person is able to do when he has money. And sometimes it's really sad to look at the reality as child, as women, as a lot of people have been neglected their rights of happiness, of freedom, of being able to choose what to do or what to say or who to marry, or and it doesn't just talks about the United States. Is not just, and I even talk about it in my belief, which is Islam, and how a lot of people use Islam to marry their daughters, which that is anything to do with Islam, but it is to do with culture. And most people do not understand this. But what I want to say is the violation. What I am talking about is the ignorance or the arrogance of the brutality of violating someone's right towards happiness, because everyone should be respected. No matter if I have a daughter, I'll give you another example. I have a daughter and I wish she would marry a Muslim, a real Muslim man. But I cannot force it, and that's going to be something in her. Or my sons, I wish my sons would become Muslims and they would become Islam. And even though one is an atheist and one is a Christian, I love them both. And I even one time I was ready to have an argument. They made me cry because of their belief, and I tried to bring Islam into their hearts. But what can I do? I cannot change no one. I do not have authority to change no one. Everyone has to go through their own paradigm to have the best experience of their paradigm. If I force them my paradigm, then I am not allowing their capacity of creativity. I am not allowing their knowledge. I am not allowing their brain to think of their own. So when I am gone, when I am dead, and there comes a situation, they will not be able to handle the situation. And this is what my book is about: enlightenment. My book is about consciousness, about mindfulness, about being aware of your surrounding, about you understanding your full capacity as a human being. So all of this runs through my mind, and when I thought, or better said, that flash appeared while I was at work, it comes towards my heart and my knowledge and my awareness that I have to help people as I need help also. And what do I mean by I need help? I need help financial, so that I am able to do more research, so that I am able to give you a better information. So this is one of my reasons that I'm writing my book, which is called Standing Alone. This is why I need for you guys to push that like button, that subscribe button. I need your comments. I hope this is one of my best professional videos that I have done, and that you liked it and that you enjoy it, and that I keep bringing more information towards you. And I hope, because I'm throwing so much information towards you, so you're not going to understand everything and you're not going to capture everything, but you have to acknowledge it and you have to do your research, because in order for you to enhance your development as a human being, you have to educate yourself. Do not depend on the government to educate yourself. As I explain to my children, it's not the school where the education starts, but the education starts at home, where you decide to take a book, where you decide to take some time for better of yourself. I hope everything, and assalamu alaikum, which that means peace and the creator with you. Bye.